Oh, my legs are dead. Ah, come on. That was so stupid. Oh, no.
Okay, let's get straight into it. No faff. The race this week was Tour de Zwift Stage 4, and it was on the London 8 course. It's a long kind of rolling start, and then there's a climb up Box Hill towards the end. Okay, so we're nearly at the race start. The plan is to stick with the front guys and then potentially have a bit of a sprint towards the line. Like all my plans, that normally goes wrong, but we'll see how we go. I'm just going to start applying a bit of power so we don't get dropped straight away. And we're off. The plan was largely to stay with the bunch for as long as possible on the flat and then just do my best up the climb. I knew it wasn't going to be my strongest suit, but just had to kind of do what we could and then regather ourselves for the sprint finish at the end. To be honest with you, the first kind of half of this race went off without incident. The rolling section was fine. The pace actually was quite easy for a Zwift race. I felt like we hit a kind of pretty average pace for most of the flats. There was a couple of guys who were doing attempts off the front.
There's a couple of guys doing little digs off the front, but it's such a flat start to the course and we're so early in the race. I really don't think there's any point chasing them down.
Nobody went with them. There was not really any point chasing down a single flyer off the front. I had to laugh because one of the other riders in the group clearly saw what was going on, which was that everyone was saving themselves for the climb and dropped a wee comment to that effect.
All waiting for the hill. Yep, I think that's probably about right.
Then we got to the climb. This wasn't really going to be for me. The basic plan was just to stick on as best I could. So I started off, I was setting a kind of relatively high but conservative pace, something that I knew I could stick to for a good while. And, surprise, surprise, I was basically dropped immediately by the group. But then as people started to suffer and as people started to blow up, I then was coming back into the race.
Oh, this is tough. I'm trying to stay at a power I can hold, but it's difficult.
I don't really know strategy-wise whether this is the best idea. I don't know whether it's better to stick with the group for longer, stay in the draft, and then just accept that I'm probably going to blow up before the top, or to pace myself and to get to the top in a kind of more controlled fashion. Now, I say controlled, I was absolutely gassed by the time we reached the top.
Come on, keep digging.
I was toast. I had really nothing left to give. There was a bit of a flat at the top, and then a kind of short, sharp climb. My plan with this was to try and lose some of the guys on the very last bit of the climb, the very short, sharp part. So I had a feather, which I saved for that, and then I put in some power. Seems like everyone else had the same idea though, because it didn't really work. On the descent, nothing too remarkable happened, and then it was a case of preparing for the final sprint, or so I thought. The problem was that I was quite naive in this section of the race, and this is where things went badly wrong for me. We were in the underground section, and to get back out onto the streets, there's a very short, very sharp climb. Now, I thought that people would put a bit of a dig in here, but that we would all be kind of wanting to save our legs for the sprint. I was totally wrong. People were flying off the front, and I got dropped completely by surprise. I then spent the next sort of minute, 2 minutes, desperately trying to cling to the group.
Come on.
My legs were toast. I was putting down the power I had, but it just wasn't happening. And to be honest with you, I basically totally gave up.
Nah, there's not even any point sprinting.
This was a really disappointing end to the race. I'd done well on the rollers, I felt I'd done okay on the climb, and then just because of this stupid mistake, I got dropped before the final sprint, and I was really frustrated with how things had played out.
That was That was so stupid. Oh no. I didn't put enough power down on the way out the underground. And I thought we were close back up. And I just got dropped. Bit disappointed by that, not gonna lie. It's kind of my own fault. Well, it was entirely my own fault. And the worst bit is my racing score's dropped now.
Because of this pretty shoddy end to the race, my Zwift racing score dropped by 8 points, which puts me back into the category below. Pretty gutting, to be honest, quite disappointed. But, you know, I can't really blame anyone. It was my own fault. That last section of the race just was completely my undoing. So what lessons can we take from this race? Well, I think that my performance for the first half of the race was kind of okay. I was in the bunch, I was conserving energy. The climb, I think, was all right. Climbing's still not my strong suit, but I didn't get completely left behind on the climb, and I was still kind of in the mid-pack, which is kind of where I expected to finish anyway. The obvious lesson is the end, and I think there's a very specific thing which I got wrong here. I didn't study the course profile enough before the race started. While I could see there was this climb out of the underground on the map, I didn't really consider that this was going to be a crucial part of the race. If I'd looked at the course map in more detail, I would have probably worked that out and maybe even used it to my advantage. Instead, I was on the receiving end of the attack and I was not up to the task. The large climb was obviously going to be important, but I got undone by this tiny little climb, which I hadn't even factored in. Really stupid, hopefully won't happen again. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you'd like to see more content like this, please remember to subscribe down below.